Yeah, I know. I'm gonna run away. It's a good thing Steve didn't show up here with the snake this
I'm
morning.
actually sad.
No,
I
I'm
should have reached
happy.
out and said,
God
make sure you bring
works
a
in
snake.
Yeah,
mysterious
next
ways.
time when I come through, I'll bring one for you.
Thank you. Thank
Tell
you.
me when that is. I won't be.
But why is it that people are afraid of snakes?
Well, people learn to be afraid of snakes. When people are born, they aren't initially afraid of snakes. Your instinct hasn't kicked in to be afraid of them. And then you learn fear through interactions with people that are already scared of them. And that teaches you fear. So in the same way that teaches you fear, you can unlearn fear. And that's what I do every day.
Fantastic. And why should we not be afraid of snakes?
Well, firstly, because snakes don't want to attack us. So they actually want nothing to do with us. They're solitary animals, and they control populations of mice, birds, and smaller animals. And they also provide an important food source for larger animals. So they do us much more good than they do harm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see,
Well-
Ray?
Well, let's just get into that though, Steve. When I'm gonna speak from my experience. If I see a snake, I'm gonna go, "Oh my gosh, oh my word, somebody help!" And then just like, but
Well,
what is
run away.
what's the correct way?
The correct thing to do is stay your safe distance away. So your safe distance would be 3 to 5 meters. Some places, not so much here where we live, but further up in the Western Cape, you get spitting cobras. So they can spit accurately for 2.5 to 3 meters. So if you stay 3 to 5 meters, you're safe.
Okay.
And then the protocol would be, if you can snap a shot. You can send it to a professional like my number,
Yeah.
and I'll identify the snake for you and tell you what it is.
Brilliant.
If it's a dangerous one, then we come and fetch it and take it back to its natural ecosystem. So all the snakes that I catch outside have to go back into their own ecosystem where they're from, because they control the populations in those areas.
Makes sense.
You see.
Yeah.
You see. Okay. So majority of our listeners listen to us in the city of Cape Town, and it's
Yes.
snake season because it's summer.
Yes.
So what are some of the snakes that they might encounter and
So-
need to be aware of?
In the Western Cape, we've got 42 different snakes. So we've got quite a large biodiversity of reptiles here. Out of that 42, there's the triple threat that we're worried about. So that's the three main snakes we're worried about, which is the boomslang being the most venomous snake in Africa, the Cape cobra being the most venomous cobra in Africa, and the puff adder being responsible for the most bites in Africa.
Okay.
We do also get the berg adder, the black spitting cobra, the runkals, and the coral cobra, or coral snake as they call it these days.
All in the Cape Town area.
All in the Cape Town
Yeah.
area. But the latter three don't really occur where people are. So they're least concern. The most concern would be the triple threat. So they're quite easy to identify. There's only 3 of them. And if those come into your property, you would obviously need a snake catcher. So that's where Catchers United comes in. That's my groups.
Okay.
Ah,
So that's-
okay.
That's
a
spread
good viewpoint.
throughout the whole Western Cape. So if you phone my number, I can get you help wherever you are.
Fantastic. Steve specifically handling the Deep South Reptile Rescue. I love that it's reptile rescue and it's
Yes.
not about let's just kill these animals. They
No.
play a very, very important role in the ecosystem.
They're
That's
vital,
why.
yes.
That's why we want to educate you. That's why we want you to move away from fear and speak to the right people when
Yeah.
it comes to that.
So at this time of the year, as always on social media, you get a lot of myths and facts going around. So it's important to fact check things that you hear, because there's a lot of myths going around at the moment about snakes chasing people and things like that.
Okay.
They don't actually do that. So snakes will keep out of your way. They only want 3 main things. They want food, water, and shelter. So food being rodents. If you've got horses, chickens, anything like that that's going to attract rodents because of their feed, it's going to attract rodents.
Yeah.
That'll attract snakes.
Okay.
So if you want snakes to stay out of your property, my best advice to you is keep your property as tidy and clean as you possibly can. Keep the garden nicely maintained so you can see what's going on and the mice won't move in, and then you shouldn't have an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously also if you've got cats should catch mice.
Yes, they do.
And they'll obviously mice won't
Yeah, and that leads into the pet conflict, because that's a big thing. A big part of what we do is we protect pets from getting bitten by snakes. It can be 14,000 Rand up for treatment if they do get bitten by snakes.
Whoa.
So cats are least at risk because they're so nimble. In the Western Cape here, we don't have species that get cats a lot. So I've been doing this since 1991. It's a long time. And I've only ever seen 1 cat getting bitten. Whereas yearly, I see about 16 dogs getting bitten. So
Okay.
it's important to keep your property as tidy as you can
Yes.
and make sure that it's well maintained so you don't get snakes.
Brilliant. Okay, that's very practical advice. Thank you, Steve. And then last but not least, how do we educate the children, especially because, I mean, in summer, you want to go and play outside, you want to experience, you want to So how do we do that? What's
So-
the right way?
I run programs through Deep South Reptile Rescue, and it's educational programs where I go and teach kids about snakes. And I feel that should actually be in primary school level. I think
I
that
agree.
everybody that lives in a country like this should know what is in the garden that could potentially hurt you. So it's an important piece of education that I think is missing in general, although I do it on a daily basis. So if you don't know what it is, leave it alone. That's my advice.
Yeah,
Don't
true.
pick it up. Don't touch it. Don't try and catch or kill it, because that's how 85% of bites happen, when people try and catch and kill snakes.
Oh, wow. So leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Call
It can't
the
bite you if you
experts.
don't touch it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Steve, then how do people, I mean, in the worst case scenario where they are bitten by a snake, what's the best thing to do?
The most important thing to do is get to the emergency center as quickly as you possibly can. So stay as calm as you possibly can. Remove all tight-fitting clothing and jewelry. Get clear of the snake. That's the first thing, because you don't want to risk a second bite. Also, the doctors are not always snake experts, so they don't know what kind of snake it is if you take it to them. You don't have to do that. That's also a myth. So a description of the snake or a photo of the snake will be suffice. They treat you symptomatically. So yes, there is an antivenom shortage crisis at the moment, where we can't get access to antivenom in certain provinces. But at the moment in Cape Town, we do have access. And obviously, it's up to the doctors to source it. So the public do tend to panic a little bit about the antivenom shortage crisis, but they should leave that for the doctors to source for them. So it's they'll treat you symptomatically. It's only about 30% of bites that actually need the treatment with antivenom. The rest of the bites get treated symptomatically, because if a pup adder bites you, it's cytotoxic. So it's going to swallow you up and it's going to cause necrosis. And they can often treat that without the use of antivenom and help you. Yeah.
Sure.
Wow.
That's brilliant. So again, worst case scenario, if you do get bit by a snake, stay calm,
Stay calm, yes.
get away from the snake,
Get away.
take off any tight-fitting clothing or jewelry. Because, and again, the whole thing for stay calm is slow your heart rate down
Your heart rate down, yeah.
and then get to the emergency center ASAP.
And have the emergency numbers on your phone if you're a hiker.
Oh,
Yeah, it's important to have your emergency numbers like 112 on your phone,
yeah.
so that if you do get bitten, you can phone ahead
Yes.
and say, I've been bitten, I'm on such and such a path, and
Yeah.
I'm heading down towards such and such a car park, and they can meet
Yes.
you along the way to speed up the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And that 112, if you're phoning from a cell phone, you need to phone this number, a very important number, 021 480 7700. That's for the City of Cape Town emergency number. Save that number as the emergency number and treat it as an emergency number only, please, on that 021 480 7700. Steve, great chatting to you. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Thank you
good
for having me on.
education. That's what we want to do. We want to
Yeah.
help people. And
Exactly.
for people to contact Steve, you can, if you see a reptile that
Yeah.
needs rescuing in the Deep South, you can call Steve. His number is 064 681 0779. Thank you so much, Steve.
You're
Thank
very welcome, Jonathan. Thank you both for having me on. I
Big
Great
appreciate it.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Next time he's going to bring a snake
Definitely.
for
I'll
us.
bring Ula, my favorite,
Oh.
4-meter python.
Oh, wow. A
4
python.
meters.
Yeah, she's a beautiful snake.
Absolutely.
I think you've got some pictures of her there that are going on the
Yes.
social media for people that want to see.
Beautiful.
It's on there.
Oh,
It's one look there right
beautiful.
now, but it's on
So
there.
the colors, that's the brown and
That's correct,
black
yeah. So
and-
she's a natural type. The type that people typically think of when they think about snake man is the albinos, the yellow ones.
Yes,
So that's the
okay.
natural type, how they look in the
The
wild.
brown.
That's
And
Yes.
she's a rescue snake, because Deep South Reptile Rescue also rescue exotic snakes.
Oh,
Oh,
So
wow.
fantastic.
yeah, she's a rescue snake that had come in. She was in bad condition, and I
No
got her back to
way.
health. Now she helps me to
Beautiful.
educate people.
And she's
Fantastic.
4 meters in length.
Yeah, she's close to 5 now. I haven't actually measured her this year, but last year she was 4 point something. So
And what does she
And a
eat?
weight?
she eats a combination. So she gets about probably 30 kilos of food every 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And she gets a combination of piglets, rabbits, rats, so rodents and meat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no vegetarian snakes. They're all they're all carnivorous.
That was my next question. Are there any vegans?
No, a lot of people think that a corn snake is a vegan snake, but it's not called that for that reason.
Oh.
That's so funny. Brilliant. Oh, Steve, thanks a million.
You're
Appreciate
very
you,
welcome.
bud.
Thank you very much.